Yeah, I saw the live feature, so I'm like, okay, we're live already.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's already going. Yeah, I use a platform that pushes out to multiple platforms. So,
That's awesome.
which is cool, but it also sucks at times because what ends up happening is like the full title won't make it in, or on YouTube, half the video it's weird. It's not perfect, but like I said, it's good enough. We're at that
Yeah,
point. Do you see us streaming on Facebook? Did you see that?
I can look it up.
Because my system is saying that it's like connecting, but it hasn't connected yet, which it does that sometimes.
And the Strong Coach.
Yeah, any of them. Strong Coach or my personal should be live streaming to both. Yeah, we're live.
Awesome.
Actually, we're not. I don't know. No, I guess we are. This thing is
Is it
a
recording?
mess. I think so.
It
You
doesn't
know
say
what?
it's recording on my end.
Worst case scenario, like we're recording on my Zoom now.
Okay. Yeah, because I see on your Facebook, we are live.
Yeah, we're live. Okay, cool. Sorry, folks. Just two guys trying to live stream to the whole world and have a conversation. I'm excited to have Aleks Rybchinskiy on today. A lot of you were introduced to him once before in season 1 of the Strong Coach, back when we were with the Shrug Collective, and a lot of people that have come through the Strong Coach program, they point to the interview I did with you as something that really stood out. They're like, man, listening to that interview really caused me to take my coaching more seriously, or it caused me to want to get into that type of coaching. And because, well, I think the average coach up until this point, it's like, okay, I want to get paid an hourly wage to give people workout programs and tell them what to eat and all that. And what we're witnessing happen is the average coach needs to go deeper with their clients in order to get the results. Because if you're a coach going around with clients that aren't getting results, that's not a very good sign. And as you and I both know, there's a lot of tools you can accumulate that go far beyond writing a great workout and knowing what someone should eat, that makes a great coach. So I appreciate you having come on season 1 and enlightening us all.
My pleasure.
And so, yeah, and now here we are in strange times. And man, I'm just having conversations with people. I'm pulling my favorite people on the planet onto this, and just seeing what you have to say. What's going on in your world right now?
Well, with this whole COVID thing, we applied for all the small business loans, and all those failed. All those that we didn't get accepted for.
Me
So
too. Yeah, I haven't
yeah,
seen shit.
yeah. But then all these other people collecting, 20, $10 million and $40 million from colleges and all these other places. And I'm like, okay, that's why I didn't get accepted. That's cool.
Well,
So
you
it
know
really
what? Like I filled out the forms and then did business assuming it would not happen. So not too much of a letdown.
That's exactly what we did. And we're like, hey, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity to take the things that we do know online and at least give people the best material that we can. So right now we're like cultivating an online coaching business, which dilutes nothing of what we do except not seeing people in person. So except we're just getting people on a mass level. So we're still building that. And we're going to be launching that in a couple weeks, I think now. Restructuring our whole website. I mean, this mode of darkness has really allowed us to go, okay, we are doing one thing really well, but how can we give it out to the masses? So we pondered, okay, what can we give? How can we dilute this? And we sat and we go, okay, what is too much? What is too little? What would be watered down? What would we ethically and morally be okay to release without releasing just something to make money? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we're doing. And funny enough, I stepped on a nail the other day, And like a week ago, I stepped on a nail. It probably went like 1 or 2 inches into my foot
Woo.
and in my heel. And so I was like, I actually just posted a thing on Instagram that have, I opened my gym. Finally, we did it. We built it. I got my first workout in. The next day I stepped on a nail and I was making a cosmic joke. I'm like, well, I guess the universe is trying to nail me down and I wasn't getting the point. So, so I sat down and I'm like almost done with my whole course that I just wrote. So I've just been obsessed with it for the last couple of days about masculine archetypes and how we can actually address them show them to the people how to balance it and be full in ourselves so we can deliver ourselves properly to the world. And so, I mean, that's what we're doing. The kids are home. It's a lot of time at home. That's my world. A lot of time managing kids eating and, working and pretty much just that.
Have you found that the process of going online is cause you to refine and think things through more thoroughly than you had before?
Yeah. I mean, because once it's out there, it's not like a conversation where you could just go, let me clarify. Once you put it in words, people can take it as however their consciousness allows them to filter it through their ego and perceive it in their body, and then that's just what comes out of it. And then you have to go back later and do whatever press releases and clarifications, but it's not there. It's not in person. You can't just be like, that's not what I meant. Let's dive
Yeah.
in a little deeper. So that's what I'm finding with this, what I'm writing is it's turning into an obsession, because I go, no, that could be taken wrong. No, I got to clarify that. I got to put this in there. And then this little snippet turned into like a full blown, it's probably going to take me 4 to 6 hours to record this thing, just straight through, no editing. So yeah, it's kind of maddening in a sense, which is great. I love the madness.
Yeah. Yeah. My experience has been, so I've been doing the online thing for a while and I'm still finding things to be improved. And, in in this process, one of the things that we did was I opened up a phone call. I opened up a Zoom call to anyone who had ever been a client before and in the Strong Coach program every day for like 3 weeks. And then we dialed it back to 5 days a week. And then we dialed it back to once a week. And it was, my intention was, okay, if we support the coaches we've trained, then they're going to be able to better support their clients. And as I was giving them support, this is how it always happens, is the thing I think that they're going to need support on is not the thing they need support on. And I'm listening and I go, oh, they're asking questions that I'm pretty sure I covered in the program that they went through. Fuck. I did not communicate that as clearly as I would like. Like they may have gotten it on one layer or level, but I go, it's not good enough. So it's been a gift in that I'm pretty good at doing the messy action thing, putting it out there and then looking at it and going, oh, that's not the result that we were looking for. We can do better. So it's been a gift in that, and then sitting down and just redoing a lot of the curriculum. And it sounds like you're getting into that initial process of, all right, let's see if we can think of everything. And then when you're going to put it out, of course, you're going to get the feedback and go like, oh.
And I mean, what kind of person, that teaches other people does not receive other feedback? That's the biggest shadow that, us as coaches can't fall into, is not being able to receive the feedback and the criticism, because they're the ones telling you what they really need. And then you go, okay, what does that really mean? And maybe this is what they think they need. Let's give them a little bit what they need or want, but mostly give them what they need in a way that they can digest it, which is, yeah, it's super important.
How do you receive criticism or constructive feedback, or I like to call it feed forward on how do you separate that feedback from taking it personally? Because taking it personally obviously slows down the process.
On a personal level or on a business level?
Both. Yeah. Like, wait, am I how to receive personal feedback? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like when someone comes up to you and they're like, "Hey, man, your hair looks like crap," and you're like, "Or
Well,
your
let's
hair
do
is too long."
let's do business first, and then I am curious about the personal. Oh, because
uh,
yeah. Now,
for
now
for
I have memories coming up now.
business.
I'm like thinking about the time people had personal feedback from me. Oh,
But for business, when it comes to areas that I have no idea in, I'm an open sponge. And anytime I'm around people that I have something that I can learn from, I turn into a childlike wonder and I just absorb like a sponge. And then I take that information like a sponge and I carry all that water, which is the wisdom. And then I go and I wring it out and I go, what do I have here? Is it muddy water? Is it clean water? So most of the time, 99% of the time, I receive it with, okay, I can see maybe where you're coming from. And let me look into that because I don't know the definition of what you're talking about quite yet. So I don't know the full scope. I mean, I'm working with one of our close friends who's redoing our whole website from this thing. And I'm making it easier for people to be able to access our site and make it functional and make it more user friendly. And so I'm like, here's my ideas. And he's like, you're ahead of the you're putting the cart in front of the horse. And I'm like, no, 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 but you're not understanding. And then I start talking. He's like, you're putting the cart in front of the horse. And I'm like, okay, I'll listen. And then so he just sits there and tells me all these things that like these, do you see how this has to happen before this and this? And I'm like, yeah, okay. So my idea, even though it's a good idea, there has to be a process for that idea to be delivered in a coherent manner, because if you jumped into my brain and try to process all this, it would be too much, especially for the average person that's never come in contact with any of this. And so for anything, like for fitness professionals that are like, hey man, you should be doing this, I go, okay, let me ponder that for a second, and then I'm going to try to evaluate it from the whole instead of just from what they're talking about, because most of the time I've heard people tell me fascia doesn't matter. And then I go, okay, let me hear you out. Why doesn't fashion matter? And then I go, okay, well, you clearly haven't stated that it has its own blood supply, or it has its own fascial system that it runs through the body. Everything's interconnected through fascia, different layers. You haven't mentioned that. So what specifically about that are you talking about? So I'm more curious, because if you know what you're talking about, that whole fake it till you make it doesn't work. You walk up, like picture walking up to Paul and pitching him some health advice, like with confidence. You can't do that. You just
no.
you just can't do that to someone that knows what they're talking about. And so
Yeah, I
they're
think
just
we've all had that experience. Someone that's come up, I've had people come up to me and give me advice on something, and I'm like, or this actually happens a lot in the business world. Is somebody who runs a marketing agency of some sort hits me up on Instagram and like, do you want to do this, this, and this? I'm like, no. They're like, you don't want to grow your following? I'm like, I really don't care. Like, like I'm actually looking at the entire business. This is not my focus right now. They're like, well, let's set up a consultation, and that way we can like create a strategy. I go, no, 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 no. You're not hearing me. I don't care. like I know what you're selling, and it doesn't apply right now. So I know what you're talking about. It's like there's also, you got to watch out for, am I experiencing hubris? Do I think I know, but I don't really know, you know?
Mhm. That's why I always stay curious and I let people hear. I let people talk to allow me to fully understand. And if mostly if my soul is calling me, if I'm attracted to hearing someone, most of the time I don't even respond to people on Facebook. Like someone will post something and I'll just be like, you know what, it's not worth it. I'm not drawn to this. I'm not drawn to give someone my almost 15 years of experience and diving head deep and being like an ostrich, just studying it with my head in the ground and applying it to people to go, you know what, they can figure that out for themselves, or maybe they won't even receive it, or I've tried and they haven't received it. So it's like, you know what, I'm not here to save the world. I'm here to work with the people that are really interested in my help and that are called to, you know, it's fascinating when people just message you out of nowhere and they're like, hey, I found you. I'm like, how did you find me?
Yeah.
I don't advertise. How did you find me?
Did you go through a phase where you were trying to save the world? And then, yeah, how did that shift for you? What did that look like? What did that feel like? And how did it shift?
Mostly trying to save myself, mostly trying to prove myself as someone that's important, someone that is trying to contribute, someone that's trying to prove to the world how smart I am, and be validated. But also, it hurts when you're not validated. And Sarah has been my blessing over here. She one day she's like, can you just shut the fuck up and stop telling, like, asking, like, being so surprised about the stuff that you're doing, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, how many people have to show you, of all different classes of you know people, from the wealthiest to not the wealthiest, to the people that are famous to not famous, telling you that, hey dude, you do good work. And then I go, that's an interesting point. So I mean, all these people are telling us that we're doing good work, and on all levels. Even if you're just the personal trainer just getting into it, and you taught someone how to squat somewhat properly, and you helped the person that needed the help, that at the level that you were at, to give them, and they're like, that was amazing. And you're like, wow, I need more of that. Instead of, cool, I have learned something, I'm becoming more proficient at something, let's learn the next thing. So saving the world, it was a challenge, because there was parts of me that were drowning, needing of saving of myself. And when you start digging into the deeper parts of yourself, and you start coming out of it like a more grounded, more whole person, you just find yourself saving the world by interacting with it instead of putting effort out. I've seen so many people walking by the store that just stare, or they'll reach out and go, hey, that thing you said to me 4 years ago, 5 years ago, like, really impacted my life. And I'm like, oh wow, I was just saying what was true to me.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I've been watching you, like old coworkers, hey, I've noticed you bring your food to work, and no one else does that, and that inspired me to bring food to work. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm just trying to be true to me. And if that reflects something that is important to you, then that's cool. So, but before, it was like I was carrying them on my back, and it gets really strenuous, unless you have the strength at that point to know who you are, be able to take care of your family and your tribe, and then carry the world.
Yeah. Was what was you wanting to save the world previously? Was that coming from a place of wanting to be loved? Like, oh, if I show that I'm valuable, then people will love me, or I will love me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a definitely a sense of that. It gets, I mean, it's on multiple different layers and situations of, not feeling good enough, not feeling like you're gonna be able to provide a living, not being able to, support a family, with, the discouragement that you get from, like, you're not gonna make it as a trainer, you're not gonna make it as, and they were right. I had to evolve past being a trainer to make it. And but those are the kind of things that kind of started that hero's journey. And yeah, that pain is what carries you through. And then once you kind of get to a certain level of comfort and understanding, you're like, okay, I am willing to no longer prostitute myself for myself and for other people, and just provide whatever people need, because I'm comfortable with the material. I'm comfortable with what I know. I'm comfortable with the way I can help people, and I'm comfortable with what I'm willing to offer people. And then the people that just randomly show up in your life, whether they be at the grocery store, whether they're your own personal clients, whether it's your family, they will show up once you stop talking about how much you know. This is coming from real experience, real personal experience. You stop badgering them about they need to get off gluten and dairy, and you just say, no thanks, I'm not going to do that. And they're like, and they watch you get healthier and stronger and more grounded and less impatient. And then they're like, well, what the hell's going on over there? I want to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a common trait for a human being to want to be right. and which means that other people need to be wrong. And if you're trying to tell people how you're right, then they automatically have to make you wrong. And that's not true for every human being, but it's a very common symptom, at least in the Western world. We'll say United States. I think it's very baked into the culture of this needing to be right. And there's this thing that happens where, well, if anyone's got to be right, then someone else has to be wrong. And I'm not going to be fucking wrong. So you're wrong. So, like, to me, when I hear you say that, I go, oh, this is those conversations, because I remember trying to convince my family of things. I remember even the way I interacted with my clients. It was coming from a place of telling them instead of like really being it. And even to this day, I had a moment this week where I go, I'm looking at how things are being managed on a mass scale, at the level of the planet or the United States or whatever. And I go, I have no room to be critical, because my own house is yet to be in order, for me to be able to cast that first stone, and yeah, I'm getting there, but the conversation that I'm having with just getting my own life, to where it can be, that's challenging enough without me having to go out and try to like change something else for someone else.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to do that is just to practice it. The more righteousness you have without action, the more you fall into a shadow. Like the more medicine you take without any integration of the lessons, the more you just separate yourself and become misaligned. The more you tell your kids to do things, but you don't do the things that you're telling them to do, the more they misbehave. And, the more you don't follow, or the more you tell your clients to do something and they don't listen because you're not doing them, the more of a disconnect you get from your own clients. And so it's what I've only noticed is you can only speak from experience by actually doing the things that you're doing. And that's anytime someone comes up to me and they're like, I'll give you an example. I'm not the most organized person. And if someone has a problem with organization, I'm like, one of my clients, I just call in the other room, or, I'm like, hey, Sarah, can you come in here and talk to me about organization? Because I'm not the most organized person. So they need to hear it from someone that is amazing at organization and that has it mastered. So I don't speak to things that I don't have figured out to the degree that I can help my clients. Obviously I'm not a master on so many things, but this is something that I practice on a daily basis of awareness of moment by moment, focusing on what's important and restructuring my mind to go, okay, I need to focus on this work. Okay, then my kid is asking me for something simple. My kid is asking me for attention. I told him 30 minutes. Can I deliver that in 30 minutes? Or do I have to break my promise and now there's a lack of trust? So these are the things I just do on a daily basis. If I tell Sarah I'll be done in 10 minutes, I better be done in 10 minutes. Say what you mean and mean what you say is just the thing that's always flowing in my head. And it's one of those things where it's just like a tightrope to walk, but it's a rewarding tightrope.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I like that. I find that when I'm operating from that place, the stronger I am in that, the less I say.
Yeah, you just do more. Yeah, do more what's right, and life becomes a little bit easier. Not in the sense of like the tasks become less arduous. It's just the flow becomes easier, and there's less resistance that from point A to point B. Like, oh, I have to get up and do this. It's like you just get up and do that thing that you said you were going to do.
Yeah, it
Why?
becomes simpler.
Yeah, the energy still depletes, but the resistance goes down. So it becomes more efficient. And the more you practice it, just like the law of facilitation, the more you do something, the more the pathways allow you to do things with less and less resistance. So the things that were hard before, just like exercising, became easier. Just think of us 10 years ago of one personality trait that we've worked on and how it's just part of our life now. Oh yeah, I am way more patient, and oh yeah, I am way more organized. Like even before I met Sarah to now, I'm a 300% more organized human being. because of being around someone that is organized and just holds that as a value. And so I'm just more organized. Things go where they need to go. And do I slip up? Yeah. But I have a master to show me how to not slip up.
Does
Or
she have a ruler?
No, but she definitely has a very sharp tongue. So will remind me.
Like, ow, ow, ow. I know that
Yeah.
one. Okay.
Yeah.
You were you dropped something in there that was really quick and went right by it. And I love it when people do that. And I know that you probably got more to say about it. It's like you're talking about taking care of yourself and then family and tribe and all that stuff. Is there a way that you prioritize what you take care of first?
Myself, and if I'm taken care of, oh, what just happened? I need to turn that down. And if I am taken care of, for the most part, I'm willing to sacrifice for the needs of the family. So, for the people without necessarily a huge tribe to look after, I recommend highly looking after yourself. And if that means, instead of going to putts off, then you just go do some Tai Chi, or you go make some food, or you go journal, or, sit in silence, or whatever the case may be. But most of the time, if the family needs me, I'll just go and sacrifice my own time for their needs. And then Sarah can gauge when I've hit my limit, and I'll just be very honest with her. I'm like, hey, I'm hitting my limit. Can I go and walk outside and walk the property? Can I go and, spend some alone time in the gym? Can I go and, do some yard work? And I'm like, do you have space for that? And then she'll go, okay, I'll have space in 20 minutes. Okay, I could do 20 minutes, and so I over the last many years of seeing the family, struggle with the whole blending of the family, and this is now the second time we're rebuilding it. The first 3 years we were together, we were pretty much broke, trying to build this business from the ground up and merge families at the same time, and take care of an infant, and then now a toddler, and now the toddler's at home, and now we have to rebuild it again. So it's like, how do we, not have her feel like she's, last place, and make her feel like she's part of the family, and, is getting attention that she needs and she's craving, before it goes, too far downhill. But she's learning some independence at this point, which is a beautiful thing. So, but most of the time I focus on myself, and if I have space, and I have generally a ton of energy to share from focusing on myself, and that I focus on them, and depending on who needs it the most, I just delegate that information. So if the kids are driving Sarah insane, I'll, because Sarah's not getting enough alone time, I'll take the kids so Sarah can have her alone time. And if Sarah needs alone time, I'll get the kids to play with themselves, so I can give Sarah some attention. And so it just depends on being present with what the needs are, and not the selfish needs, but like, what are the truer needs, which takes some practice and communication to really dive deep and understand. Like, I'll ask my 4-year-old, are you needing attention? And then she'll be like, no. I'm like, okay. Do you want to play? Yeah. Can you wait 10 minutes? Yeah. Okay. And that's it.
How do you see the difference between I witnessed this with I used to be very confused about this. I still get confused about this, and and I witness it with other people, where it's being confused about needs and wants, and how we give it to ourselves and all that kind of stuff. What's your take on that?
Oh, okay.
Like, what's the difference between a need and a want, Because a lot of times people are very quick to dismiss their desires or their wants, and needs are like something that has to happen. But I think there's where's that line?
I think instead of thinking, you have to feel into it and think. I'm like, I think, and then I caught myself thinking, and then I go, no, that's not needed. So the things like that you feel that you need, if you take it away, so you can do, like, I know the 5 love languages. And so they do one of their tests, and this is kind of how, like, oh, I see that image in my head, I wonder if that's a good metaphor for this. and they give you two tasks. They're like, would you like a hug or would you like words? And you pick between the two. So one would be one that you would miss the most. And then you keep refining until you realize what you really need. And that's part of building values. And, part of what we do is we'll go, how much exercise do you need? And someone will be like, I need 5 days of exercise, 7 days of exercise. And you go, do you need that? Or do you want that? Do you think you want that? Do you think you need that? And then you go, okay, try it. And then they try it. And then they're like, okay, that's too much exercise. Good. So you're finding out that you want to exercise, but you don't really need to. But why are you wanting to exercise? So then we go deeper into the coaching and go, actually, you're wanting to avoid and needing exercise to deal with avoidance. So there's all these, that's part of the, deep coaching as you get into those needs and wants. But, when you get asked the questions of why do I need to do this thing? Why do you need to do a Spartan race? Those are the questions that you ask. And then once you get into it, you're like, oh, I kind of want to. I miss friendship. I miss the camaraderie with friends. Maybe I just need to hang out with some friends. That'll be cool. Like maybe I should get a planned vacation and just like book a reunion with all my friends that I haven't seen in a long time. And then so asking the next question, why do I want to do this thing, could really discern between a want and a need. I guess I answered the question through a rant.
Yeah. Well, something came up for me as you were talking about the Spartan race thing, which is like, I remember I would love to hear your comment on this. I used to race and do CrossFit competitions and weightlifting competitions and all sorts of stuff. And I'm getting a ringing in my ear. I have this thing that rings on my computer twice a day. I have no idea what app it is, what software. Nothing's popping up. It just sounds in my ear. You can't hear it, but it's completely distracting me. But I'll see if I can do this anyway. It's gone. The Spartan, I noticed that the need for competition, like the competition and being recognized was what was leading the way previously. And over the last 5 years, it's turned into, I've ran Spartan races for fun the last few years, and people ask me my time and I have to go look it up. I don't really fucking know. And I recognize that I really just love being out in nature. I like doing the obstacles because they're fun. And then I usually do them with friends and we're like hanging out and talking along the way. And then, but it's like an excuse to get together out in nature and throw giant darts at bales of hay and shit. And so like, for me, it's just a good time, and it can be really confusing for other people a lot of times. Like, how did you not run that as fast as you possibly could? And that's definitely how I used to operate. I'm curious about, do you see a lot of people make that transition, or is that uncommon?
From competing to playing?
Yeah.
Maybe not consciously, but I invite people to make that consciously, because that's when you were talking, that's great. That's a beautiful reason, like, okay, well, I'm not going to be the first place finisher. I'm here for fun. I'm here to be a child. I'm here to play and hang out with friends. This is like a childhood playground that got magnified to my level, like what a childhood.
It is actually, now that you say it, it's like, it's a fucking 18-mile playground in the mountains.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That sounds dope.
Yeah. And if your job isn't to be an athlete, like I ask, a lot of my clients, that aren't athletes, and I go, don't you have work the next day? And they're like, yeah. So, especially, so I'll give you an example. So when I train like jujitsu, and I'll see people not tapping at things, and I'll just let go, or, I'll just move on, or, I'll tap a little early if I'm feeling something weird. But then there was one time in jiu-jitsu where I thought, when I first entered, it was this one huge dude, I thought it was badass, and so I was like, I
As we
can
do.
muscle. Yeah, I can muscle my way through this. That was the facade that I had. I was, 240 pounds of, machine at one point, and now I'm like 180 pounds, and still strong. But my brain was, why did I, back in that day, I was like, stop bullying me, and I'm going to be so big that you're not going to even want to try to bully me, And so this guy kept throwing the same move on me. And granted, I was a white belt and he was a black belt, and so he was just mauling me with the same thing. I had to stop him because I almost cried. I
Mm.
was like, I had tears coming down my face, and I'm like, why is this guy bullying me? And then I had this, like, in the moment of like panic, I had this moment of this question: why are you here?
Mm.
And then I was like, I just want to learn the art and play. And then I hear, so play. Why are you worried about what he's doing? And then I had this like conversation with myself. I'm like, yeah, he's been doing this 15 years. Of course he's going to murder you. And so ever since that time where I pretty much broke down on the mat, every day since then has been, let's play. And I got better faster just by playing. I go, let me stick my arm out. Let's see what happens here. Oh, they tapped me. Cool. Don't do that again. Oh, what happened here? And then I see so many people that are just like, they don't want to tap out to things metaphorically in all different areas. They're competing in a Spartan race and they're like just recovering from Achilles surgery or something like that, 3 months out. And they're like, oh, this was on my calendar. I don't want to refund this money. I'm just going to do it. But you have a family, you have work, what's the point? If you're trying to better yourself, there's other ways to do it, better yourself at work, better yourself in the gym, better yourself in the meditation, just practice the things that don't keep you out of the things that you love to do, And so if you snap a heel, or if you snap an ACL or a PCL, or tear your shoulder, your labrum, not metaphorically not tapping to things, well then, like for me, my hands, I need to use my hands every day. So I'm not going to break these things just
Yeah.
because some guy is a better practitioner of jujitsu than I am. I'm willing to lick my wounds and try again, which is the beauty of tapping. This is not real life. You don't have to life or death die. You get to practice and be like, I get to try again.
Yeah.
So same thing with like weightlifting competitions and other sporting events. Like if you're not a professional football player and you're playing, and if you're paying to play a sport like ultimate frisbee, and you are sacrificing family time and children's health and your own health to catch a flying disc, it's time to reevaluate something or be honest with ourselves. Like, I'm willing to give this up to be a child.
Well, one thing I noticed, for instance, I look at my early 20s, well, all of it, all my 20s, and like going out and drinking on Friday or Saturday night and just getting obliterated and losing a whole day. I used to be willing to do that. And there was a point where the hangover was no longer worth it. And I remember like older people saying, and I even caught myself saying, it's like, oh, I don't recover like I used to, which is completely inaccurate. My recovery might be tougher now than it was when I was in my 20s, but that's not why I don't drink. It's not why I don't get drunk anymore. I don't get drunk because I have a much greater sense of purpose outside of having a good time. Is I know that if I lose a whole day, it actually means more to me now at the age of 38 than it did when I was 28. Losing a day when I was 28, I was not very connected to self. I was not connected to purpose. I didn't have the same perspective I'm holding now. And so is it more physically painful to have a hangover now? It's hard to compare the two when they're a decade apart. But the truth is it's a very obvious and easy thing to say, you know what? I'm not going to get drunk anymore. It may be fun. And the same thing with competition is like, I'm not going to push myself so hard that I snap something. Cause man, I got like, even though my job is primarily talking to people and it's a very or, business strategy or whatever. It's a very cognitive thing. If I break my arm, my attention going towards a broken bone, I'm going to lose days and days. And then my mental capacity is going to be diminished for weeks. And I go, man, I was looking at, we were out running the other day. We're out here in Utah, basically near Zion, and some of the best trails in North America. Super blessed. And there was this, 6-foot gap. And if you miss the gap on the jump, like it's, 50, 60 feet down. And I'm looking at it. And my first thought was like, yeah, I'm going to jump the gap and I'm going to get a really cool photo on the cliff over there. And 10 years ago, I would have been like, do you have balls or not, bro? If you got balls, you're making the fucking jump. And I wouldn't have thought about it hardly at all. And people around me would have gotten nervous. And I've had that experience before. Now I look at it and I go, yeah, I can jump that. I know I can do it. But what's the reward of me doing that? I get a cool picture. All right. What's the potential drawback? I'm like, not fucking worth it. Not fucking worth it. I got too much shit to do. I am living every day with such a sense of purpose that to do something that's so ego driven to get in the way of that, man, what a missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. It's like, once you wake up to the fact that you have so much to offer people, like painting the top of my balcony, and I had to get on a ladder and climb 20 something feet up in the air. Like you were just saying, 10 years ago, I would have firemaned up that pole, up the ladder and not even thought twice about it. Now I'm like, this thing is shaking. What if I fall? I can't play with my kids. I can't help Sarah. Like these are the things that are going through my head. We have too much responsibility and we acknowledge it to the point where if we hurt ourselves, we can't contribute to the world, because that's that weight of knowledge. You can feel it weighing you down. You have so much to share, so much to give, and doing things that don't necessarily serve us isn't exciting anymore. Not like if someone offered me right now to leave my family for a year and gave me a bunch of money, like the money would have to be so much that I would be able to take my family with me.
Right. Yeah.
If someone tries to match what I do and sent me to New Zealand, I'd be like, no, man, I make that at home. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
I have so much to offer here. Why would I spend somewhere else doing that? And these are just my values. People's are different. And I'm not saying my values are your values or whoever's values are, wrong. These are just mine. I've set these for myself, so I'm just sharing my vision of these things. But yeah, I mean, just look at the stuff that you've done in the last 10 years, the information and the people you've talked to and the time it took to accumulate all that just to be potentially erased with the miss of a 6-foot jump, which we both know you are capable of.
Yeah. I don't need to prove it.
Yeah.
I can get other pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, if it came to like, if you were one of those people that relied on this picture, then I can see, okay, yeah, if you're going to make your life's worth on jumping that little crevasse or whatever that was, I can see, yeah, this is what I have to contribute to the world. Let's do this thing. If I have to tear my knee reaching for that touchdown because that's what feeds my family, I understand.
Yeah. But a $4 million contract. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. But not intramural soccer,
No.
No, I'm not willing to take a slide just to, take a cleat to the calf and can't walk just for fun.
So we're talking about one side of the spectrum, really. We're talking about the extreme, which is the potential for acute injury or death. and but on the other side, we have this a different type of motivation, which is more of people reaching for convenience over health. For instance, I'm going to go through the McDonald's drive-through and get a fix. So, the food's more convenient than doing it on my own, or I don't I'd have to learn something in order to do it differently or whatever it is. But we all know there's nobody that thinks that McDonald's is healthy, right? And I imagine that people also understand that the healthier you are, the better you can be of service to others. So do you think that that's, I mean, I'm looking at this conversation, I go, the same thing that keeps me from jumping that crevasse is the same thing that keeps me from eating McDonald's, because I know, or getting drunk is, hey, I know that I'm not going to be able to serve my purpose as well. I'm not going to like have that experience of and having that sense of purpose if I continually put something in my body that's going to diminish my ability to show up. Do you see that conversation the same way?
It's not as extreme. It takes a little bit more awareness. Like, this whole thing hit and we all had to be locked inside. You can make grocery trip runs. What I notice when people are like, there's no food anywhere. I go to the grocery store and I'm like, I don't understand. There's grass-fed meat, there's pasture-raised chicken, there's fresh produce everywhere. I'm like, I don't understand. And then I went to Walmart and all the shelves were clean out of meat. And then, but still, then I'd walk by and I go, but there's the grass-fed beef is still right here. I don't understand. So to me, I was like, oh, if you want to be healthy, go see what's left at the grocery store. Eat that.
Hey man, it's true. If I had the same experience when this all hit and people were talking about there was this and that, and I go to I was in San Diego when it all started, and for the US anyway, and I go to Lazy Acres, which is, the really, it's the top end health food store in the city. I go, I don't know what they're talking about. They haven't run out of anything. I mean, everything is here. No shortage whatsoever. I still bought a bunch of stuff. I go, all right, well, it might run out. And then went by, a more typical run of the mill grocery store. And yeah, sure enough, things were picked over. Things were definitely picked over, but it wasn't the stuff. What was it? Like canned food was picked over, but there was a lot of like snacks that were picked over, but like bags of rice were still there. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, if you're preparing for famine, you want the bags of rice, not anything else, really.
Well, you have to cook that. You have to cook it.
Yeah, I forgot. Frozen meals were overpicked.
Yeah, your question just sank into my head, and about is there a difference between the extreme and the subtle? And I think that was what I didn't get across. It's a lot more subtle, because when you're healthy, you can feel worse real easy. And then most people are like, well, I get healthier and I feel worse. It's like, no, you have the awareness that you're crapping on your body. But when you feel like crap and you're trying to get healthy, you don't notice the benefit until you're there. And then you go backwards, like easy thing is cut out gluten for 2 months, do nothing different. Cut out gluten for 2 months, eat gluten two months later, see what happens. You might get a stomach ache. You might get like some bloating. You're like, I didn't notice that before. It's always been there. You just don't notice it. And on a subtle level, there's even stages of pain. So when someone hits you, like punches you on the shoulder, you have a sense of physical pain. And that's one of the stages of pain. The stage above that is tingling. So then something starts tingling. And I can't remember if I switched these up. There's shooting and tingling, and I can't remember which one goes on top. But you have this tingling, and I think it's shooting. Shooting goes first. So then you have some shooting pain. Then you have some tingling that occurs, and then numbness occurs. Well, that could be laid out through our lives. Well, physical pain, my stomach hurts. Then you have this onset of pain, and then and then you have the shooting pain in your shoulder because you have a reflex from stomach to shoulder, and you're like, man, my shoulder isn't doing good now. That's becoming numb, or that's becoming painful. Then that starts, why is my shoulder like shooting pain every time I move it? And then I've heard this from many people, and they'll be like, oh yeah, by the way, this hurts, but it's numb now. I don't even feel it anymore. Like, it's a great thing. This is a real thing people say to me. And then I'm like, okay, let me show you this model. And then, so numbness is the final straw. And then so then when I get them back up through the pain cycles, they're like, man, my shoulder hurts. And I'm like, good, because now you're feeling it again. And so it's harder. It's more of like a trusting the process thing. Look, there's a bunch of healthy looking people that if you believe in that are doing something right, try it long enough. Just it's only 3 months, 6 months out of your life, versus accumulating garbage. It's like picture just taking your garbage bags instead of throwing them out, just leaving them in one of your rooms, and 6 months later trying to go and walk into that room. It's going to be not fun. And so
Yeah.
that's the thing, just trust that process and then see what happens in 6 months, and then go back and try to do your old lifestyle. It's going to kick you in the head so hard. And then they start to realize, but that's because you've achieved so far from the extreme that you're in. And then you're so far almost again to the extreme of health. And you're like, wow, man, I'm just doing more throughout the day. I wake up. And then, you know what else is really funny? People tell me is, they're like, man, I start getting tired when the sun starts going down. I'm like, yeah, that's normal.
Congratulations. Your
Yeah.
circadian rhythm is on point.
Yeah, I'm tired. Just keep getting tired at night, and at 3 o'clock, my energy drops off. It's like, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
That's a human being. That's what we do. We're ready for bed. We got to sleep.
Yeah, your state changes from moment to moment throughout the entire day. Surprise.
It's funny.
But it is a surprise because I remember when I've gone through phases where I got really healthy, and I remember even my family at times would make fun of me because they were like, "Oh, you work out and you do all this stuff, but you can't even handle a slice of pizza," And I'm going, yeah, I just don't want to do that to myself. But like from their perspective, I was weak. Like I had a weakness because I was sensitive enough to the input that I knew that it wasn't good for me and that it hurt. And they're like, it doesn't hurt my stomach. I'm like, you're inflamed and out of shape. Like, congratulations, it doesn't hurt your stomach. I don't know what to say. Yeah.
But from their perspective, they're too weak to feel the emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual response behind what that's doing to them, and then take the responsibility it takes for like you to just go, hey, I'm going to cut out this extremely delicious food out of my life for the betterment of myself, which helps humanity on every person I come in contact with on every level. So that's what when people, so when you're asking me like, how do you discern between a need and a want, when I'm like, hey, I cut out alcohol, and they're like, what, you can't have a good time? No, I can. Oh, you can't handle it? I can. I used to be a monster of a drinker. I can drink a lot of people under the table. I don't, because I feel like garbage and I can't contribute to the world, my kids, my family, and it doesn't serve me anymore. So I just don't do it, and that's okay. You can do it, but most of the time is they're rebelling against the fact that they haven't found their purpose yet to be able to give that up. So they're like, you're weak, but really when you point one finger at someone, you got three pointing back at you, which is really, I'm too weak to do what you're doing. And I commend you for that. And those are the words I hear in my head when people are criticizing me, which is once again going back to that whole full circle thing of how do I handle criticism. So it just depends on, are they really calling me out, or are they telling me the truth for my better, my betterment? Is that even a word, betterment?
You know what? We make up words all the time. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is a word.
Are they doing it for my best interest? Do they want to see me grow and succeed with nothing for them? And if the answer is yes, I will look into it. If the answer is like, you're just an asshole, am I an asshole? Or am I being honest? Like brutally honest? Or I could work on the way I deliver my honesty. I receive that. So there's all these different layers of whatever the criticism is. But I think we got off track with what you're talking about.
Yeah. I know, it got me thinking about this is different to a degree, but I also I don't hang around as many people like this anymore, but I still find myself in these circles. There's a birthday party or something, and I turn down a piece of cake or a glass of ice cream or something like that. And they're like, oh, you can't even enjoy yourself. Like, you're just so strict. I'm like, actually, I just don't want that. Like, it's not even really a thing for me, but okay. And they're like, oh, he's lying to himself. It's like, yeah. I just remember years ago just getting frustrated with those people. I was like, these motherfuckers.
I wish I had a prop here to show you what basically, if I had a mirror, I just hold the mirror up and it's basically them talking to themselves. But
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. Once you get clear on your needs, you realize you have no one has power over you, and you go, there's no harm in listening to what people have to say
Mm,
and not taking it personally, because you
yeah.
get, the more clear you get with yourself, the more you're like, this doesn't feel like me. I
Yeah.
feel like I know certain aspects of me, and that's not me anymore. So I can see how me being more true and aligned in that aspect could trigger people, and that's okay.
And
Which is
that's
why
okay.
that's okay.
I
Yeah,
love that phrase. And that's okay.
yeah, yeah. And
my
then
my
give them love.
some of my favorite phrases, I've been collecting them, which is just responses.
Hmm.
It's good enough. That's okay. We'll see. These are my favorites. So yeah, we'll see has been like my go-to lately. And it's because everyone's got these predictions, or predictions about the future, because people definitely want things to be different than the way they are right now. And there are a piece of news will come out. We don't know if it's real or not, ever, but a piece of news will come out, and it'll get sent out to a group. I don't know. Are you part of these groups where people are talking about coronavirus? And I keep getting added like Facebook group here and a WhatsApp group over there, or my family text message thread is just blowing up with shit. It's entertaining. It's very entertaining. But I don't know how many times you're like, one day it's this and then one day it's that. And then my response I've learned has just been, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. It's like, it's so good. I'm like, we'll see. It's so bad. We'll see. And
Yeah.
and that response is just, I think I'm loving it. I am loving it because things are changing by the day. Like, before it was so many people out of every million are dying. Oh, we just started testing people. That number's inflated. Oh, wait, those tests, they were tainted. Oh, so what's the truth? And it's like, we'll see. Like, I don't fucking know. Let's check in next year. Let's check in next year and see what actually happened, because I don't know, what's good or
What's
bad, whatever.
so strange is every time I talk about any triggering topic on any level, when I talk to someone in person, it's never their Facebook persona or their social justice persona,
Yeah.
you know? And then you just have a conversation and you go, like, are you sick? Do you know anyone that's sick? No? Okay. Are you healthy? No? Okay. I can see why you're scared, Okay. Well, we could always get healthier. Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah. And then it's just such a simple conversation. Well, do you have food at the house? Yeah. Okay. Why are you posting panic? Like,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
don't have food, let me know. I'll
I
find someone. I'll help you get some food.
I made the mistake last, maybe it's like 4 or 5 days ago. I posted something on Facebook. People will probably just scroll down my feed right now and check it out. But I posted something that I thought was like somebody was posing a good question and making an analogy between like, why are we so worried about this when heart disease is doing that? And people are like, it's not the same thing. I'm like, look, I know it's not the same fucking thing. But what I recognize is I made one post just to be like, the whole point was, what are we not paying attention to? Because this has got so much of our attention. Like, the world didn't fucking stop. The virus didn't hit, and now nothing else bad can happen, or, good, bad, whatever. But nothing that you're going to interpret as bad is going to happen. Like, there could be an earthquake, there could be a tornado, there could be an outbreak of something else, there could be whatever. Like, the world is still fucking happening, even though people have contracted a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just like, what's happening in the economy? Like who benefits from this? I'm just like trying to ask these questions, and people are just like, I know people who are fucking dying. I can't believe you would do this. Like, I'm just going to not even read this post. I'm like, well, you already read the post, but so it's like, but I could tell people got really triggered by me just sharing some, someone had some ideas and I asked some questions and people fucking where like I could tell like the way they responded, there was some energy behind it. And I definitely received some of that. I interpreted it and I was like, whoa, what am I doing here? Maybe I was like, maybe asking questions isn't the best thing right now, publicly, and I was like, and that's when I was like, all right, I'm just gonna get my own house in order. I don't need to be poking bears because I've poked a lot of bears in my life. And I enjoy watching it, but only if I think it's going to be helpful. And what I'm witnessing right now is it's not. People are. This is scaring people on a level I've never seen before. Like you can't joke about it. You can't whatever because people are dying. Even though the numbers aren't. Me just saying that is gonna fucking trigger people. It's like, yeah, people like.
And Mike's second favorite phrase, and that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay. Yes. But yeah. So you're managing this situation by not really paying attention to it. Like it's just not important to you. I'm not saying like you're avoiding. What I'm saying is like you're just doing your thing. Chop wood, carry water.
Yeah, and like doing the simple things that like, okay, Sarah is immunocompromised, Kelly is immunocompromised, Sarah's parents are immune compromised. So I, being a specimen of high immune support and a high functioning immune system, part of that is like being potentially, the thing carrying all of these things, and it could be like, I stepped on a fucking rusty nail, like a couple of days ago that I think I mentioned that. And it went like 1 or 2 inches in my foot. I put some colloidal silver on it. I put it in the wound. I washed it. I put a bandage on it and I'm walking again. And it's been Sunday when I stepped on it. I'm literally walking on my heel again and a nail went 2 inches in my foot. And people are like, are you going to get a tetanus shot? And then I'm like, I don't think so. I'm not going to. And I'm like, let's try it out. If I start seeing symptoms of tetanus, sure, I'll go get one, to make my whole tribe feel like more comfortable. The fact that they're not going to lose me. Cool. But other than that, I'm like, hey, I'm a good guinea pig and I have trust in what's happening here. And I'm going to do what feels right in my body. And here's the things I did. Boom. I'm already walking around, jumping on the trampoline again, but am I walking to my in-laws' house, who are almost, I can't remember if they're in their 80s or not, or high 70s or 80s. Am I walking over there without washed hands and without a mask? No. Am I carrying stuff into the house? No, because I have to look at the greater whole. And that's part of being like a good king and a good warrior, is someone who's mindful of who are in their kingdom. And so if you have someone that's, struggling with an immune system, don't just blow it off, but just treat the situation in a private area and go, how can we keep this isolated and keep this person thriving? And what are the things we need to get people to thrive? There was another study that came out today that was, people were treating COVID with vitamin C and vitamin D, and people that are found with COVID have super low vitamin D. And okay, well, sounds like people need to eat more real food and take care of their guts and their immune system. So on the back end, all I hear is, if your immune system is compromised, take care of your immune system. How do you do that? Stop stressing, because the problem is already here. Yeah. So let's go outside. What are the things that help? Go rest, sleep, easily top of the list. If it's keeping you awake at night and you're not sleeping, you're probably a self-fulfilling prophecy right here, and you're probably going to get sick, which is going to make more panic, which is going to create more Facebook stir, which is going to create more news stir, which is going to create, and it just goes downhill. So it's almost like, am I ignoring it? No. But am I worrying about the panic? No. And do I go out in public? Every time I go into public, everyone's so nice. Literally everyone's smiling. I can see people's cheeks going up because I smile at them. This is before mandated masks. So I'd smile at them, their cheeks would go up, and I'm like, you're smiling, everyone's nice. I'm like, just be kind to each other, and that's going to decrease stress and increase your immune system function. So that's what I mean by I don't pay attention to it. I pay attention to, who could I mess up with my potentially germ carrying body, which doesn't really get affected by it.
Right.
Who can I mess up? Who can I
Yeah.
bring this to? And that's really all I focus on. And that's what I mean by, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not like, no one's getting it. It's not a thing. No, it's like, okay, well, what are the realistic expectations that I need to follow to not get people sick in general? You
Right.
know, wipe my hands, dry my watch, if I'm like putzing around, before I go do anything, handle food, I'm gonna go wash my hands,
Yeah.
problem solved. And I got some oregano soap, which kills freaking anything. Yeah.
Always got oregano. That oregano oil goes with me everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a nice little fix if something gets fucked up. uh I mean, he's got just I couldn't help but think, or maybe I could. I don't know if that's an accurate statement, but I did think, and I held the thought, and 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 that is like, I'm with you that I do go out there and I've asked questions, and it's caused people to be triggered and stuff like that. And the truth is I have isolated the shit out of myself. I am in the country. I am like the closest house is 150 yards away. Uh, I'm like boosting my immune system. I'm doing combo on the weekends. I'm doing breath work every day. I'm eating my mushrooms. I'm doing all the stuff that to help me be ready. Like the way I'm looking at it is like, all right, this virus shows up at my doorstep, I'm gonna fuck it up, right? So that's how I am. And I'm not going around anyone who's immune compromised or anyone who's elderly or anything. I'm doing like my part. So I'm sitting here doing my part to save everybody because that's important. And and but then I start, and this is the place in which I'm asking questions from. And I think a lot of people are getting triggered by people who are being way more cavalier and are going like, this is a hoax. It's not that big of a deal. And they still want to go out and just live life however they want. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I love taking all the precautions. Let's take all the precautions. Washing my hands. I got my fucking mask for when I go out. I'm doing all the things. I'm following the guidelines, and I'm asking good questions. I'm paying the fuck attention, not to what, CNN and Fox and everyone's saying. I'm paying attention to like, who's going to benefit the most from the suggestions that are being made. The economy is not doing so hot. All these things are happening. Is like, who's going to benefit from this? I'm paying attention. And maybe it's not on purpose. And maybe some things were on purpose and it backfired. Maybe I don't fucking know. But I'm sitting here and I'm watching, and I want to notice. And I think for me, because I'm doing it, I think it's a great way of doing it. But I'm biased. But I would encourage people to do the same thing, of like, and if that stresses you out, because I know some people are like, I got to take a break from watching, getting on social media and watching the news. And I think a lot of people were watching that in the beginning and then realized how much it was stressing them out. And then they just fucking take a break from it altogether. So I've been watching it lightly, but then as time goes on, just believing less.
What was I going to say? I was just trying to. I have no idea. It popped out of my head when you were saying looking at news and things like that. It just completely flew out of my consciousness.
Yeah. I guess I encourage people to be aware of what's causing a fluctuation in your state. Like I notice like certain days it's like, I should not be paying attention to shit. I'm going to go out in nature.
Part of the thing, why people are triggered. I remember now.
Oh yeah.
There were two things, and I was trying to remember both because I was like, man, this would be really cool, like perspective to share. And then I just lost it all. But if you're invested in oil, you're going to defend oil. If you're invested in pharmaceuticals, if you have this firm belief that pharmaceuticals will save your life, and to some people it does, and to some people it doesn't. And if you have this belief that it does, you're going to listen to those people and naysay against all the people that doesn't. I mean, that's straight across the board for everyone. You know, if you don't believe in vaccinating your kids, you're going to naysay everyone that does. And if you do vaccinate your kids, you're going to naysay everyone that doesn't. And you're going to crap all over each other. And there's going to be this battle between each other. But the point is, no one looks in the middle and goes, where are some good, where are some bad, you know? And so that, like, there's some things that could be blended together when you just look at for things for what they really are instead of what they're portrayed as. And the other thing was, look at what this COVID thing has done. It allowed us to stay inside and hang out with our families, added a lot of financial stress to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, but at the same time, it allowed us to, like, the first thing I noticed when you like brought up, like, people are just wanting to go outside and hang out. I'm like, how many times have we as coaches been like, go walk outside, go take a walk,
Yeah.
go be by some water, put your feet in the dirt. And now people are like, I need to go outside. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Like the best health cure. It's like, once again, it's like you go to the store. Oh, only organic and grass-fed pasture-raised meat is available. I need to go outside because I'm dying inside. I need to spend time with my family. It's like all the values are built into this thing, but we just can't see it because we're so clouded by panic. But it's been, what, a month, and we're still here. A lot of
Yeah.
people need help, need to just say we need help and just be communicative of their values and their instructions and say, look, I'm struggling in this area. This is what I need, not crap on the whole of what's happening and just, you know, be the child. Well, he's doing it, you know, just, hey, if you need some food, ask for some food. If you know, my in-laws asked for some toilet paper. Well, I went to the store and got them some.
No.
I gave them some of ours and then I got them some more, you know? So it's like, just communicate your needs effectively. And that just goes from internal to external. And the same thing with, you know, what I really appreciate about my 4-year-old is, you know, she'll be stressing out and then she'll just be like, I need a hug. And I'm like, come here, I'll give you a hug, instead of just crying it out. And then I'll give her a hug and then she'll, okay. Do you know why I told you couldn't do that thing? Yeah. Okay. Do you know it's because daddy loves you? Yeah. Okay. But it still hurts your feelings. Yeah. Because I really wanted to do that. So, okay. You know, just communicate exactly what you're needing. And if it doesn't get delivered, then, you know, but we have a thing of externalizing our stress onto everyone else, but missing the best of it all, which is, you know, spending time with family and getting your feet outside in the dirt and getting some good food in your belly and eating together and, you know, going to, you know, your backyard and planting a garden and, you know, restructuring your whole business and have a time to introspect and, you know, sit at home and do nothing and just sit and think about exactly what we're talking about. And, you know, why do I want to do that thing? Why did I want to do that thing? Well, go crazy. Like, I've gone crazy so many times, and as long as there's some perspective and rooting, it's great. I mean, how many times have you taken medicine and just lost your mind and then came back and you're like, that makes sense.
It was like, that was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
People are like, I'm afraid of losing my mind. I'm like, yeah, exactly. It's a good thing.
Yeah. I always tell people, I'm like, I don't know where I got this quote. And if it's someone, I'm quoting someone, I apologize. You know, you have to lose your mind to find your mind, you know? So, but you can't find what's there. You have to lose that, all those programming, all the stuff that doesn't serve you, all the stuff that is weighing you down. And, you know, if your wife's like, I'm going to leave you, and you're like not investigating that, then that's a problem right there, you know?
Yeah.
And if you're like, I'm sick and no one can help me, there's a problem right there. And it's all, you know, and then, yeah, but life is interesting, which is why I keep my head in my little bubble, you know? Because we're having a conversation and we have our own beliefs and our own perception and our own ideas. But when you put two people in front of each other, they can have a conversation if they're open to having one. And it goes back to the how I handle criticism. I'm just curious. I just act like a child and I'm curious to know, like, well, what is that thing? What is that thing? I mean, Ari asked me probably 1,000 questions a day, and I'm maybe exaggerating by like 10. She probably asked me 990 questions a day. And so, but she's curious, she learns, and so that's,
Yeah.
you got to get into the child's mind and go, what do you mean behind that? What does that look like? What does that taste like? What does that feel like? What does that look like in 10 years? What will that grow into? And then sometimes as a coach, well, most of the time as a coach, but most of the time as a coach, I use questions to just ask my client about whatever they're thinking about is a good idea. And then they realize through explaining to me how good of idea it is, it's not a good idea.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, yeah, just let them process, give them the space to process it. They're keeping it inside, not externalizing it. It gets out of their mouth or on paper. And it's like, well, that's weird.
Oh, I just heard myself, and that wasn't very fun.
No, I was thinking about that. It's like, I'm a big fan of people becoming adults. And when I look at the world, and it took me into my mid-30s before I say I really took on adulthood. And and I met some 60-year-olds that have yet to take on adulthood, and I've met some 22-year-olds that are full-on adults. I'm a big, if the world had more people who are adults, and what I mean by that, how I'll qualify what an adult means. An adult means that you can parent yourself. You make a really good father to yourself, and you make a really good mother to yourself, both parts. If you can do that, then you're an adult. If you cannot mother and father yourself, if you're still looking for someone outside of yourself to take care of you in some way, you're still a child. So it's our culture is not built up to create adults. So that's how I define being an adult. And then but there's a couple of childlike things. Like if you're a good adult, because you're parenting yourself, it actually gives you access to being a child at the same time, right? So like I'm hearing you talk about that, and thinking about the two things I love about childlike behavior is the curiosity. Curiosity is one of my favorite things to embrace, and then play. And I'm all about, like, I want people to act like adults, but I want them to act like children too. Be playful, be curious. And those are the parts that I think that I learn from children the most when I'm around them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, what you just said was mwah. And that's, we share a very similar belief on that. And most of the things is like we said earlier, do what you mean, or say what you mean and mean what you say. Do the thing that you're going to do, finish your task, make sure everyone's okay, and then go play. The child will go play and not do the thing that he needs to do.
Right. Yeah.
And so, but you're 100% right. There's, a lot of people that are just not embracing their adulthood responsibilities of contribution. If we lived in a town or a small village and, the whole town is full of children and no one's getting water and no one's building shelters and no one's bringing in food, we just, now we just like do 3 clicks and then whatever you want shows up at your doorstep and you don't have to go get those things. It makes it even more convenient. But in my mind, it's like, well, now since that's coming here and I don't have to go do that thing, I can go contribute in ways that I can find really valuable with my skill set. And but Sarah always calls me the child, because I, at any point, I could turn on curiosity, I can turn on wonder, I can turn on play. And she's like, how do you go from working to running around the house? I'm like, it's just, there's so little time to just be serious all the time, but then there's times like when you have to be serious with yourself, with your client, with your parents. I mean, it's real, and
Yeah.
things can fall apart at the drop of a hat. And if you just let things go. And so, there's so many people, making videos from their jobs and getting fired. Have you ever seen these things? People are like literally making like TikTok videos, and they'll be like pop through my feed every now and then they're like at work and they're like, why did I get fired? Like, this is why. You know, and then they'll fall into the victim. Why did this happen to me? Because you sabotage yourself, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because you're being a child when you needed to be an adult, you know,
Yeah.
and you're probably being a child instead of an adult because you're being a prostitute and doing something you don't love to do. And then this whole thing comes full circle again. And then it goes back into this whole shadow cycle that you should have evolved out of a childhood. And now
Yeah.
you're a full blown adult with a family, with a business, or you're working for someone. And, you know, and if you don't like what you do now, have a dream to get out of that, or do what you love as a hobby so that way at least you stay sane, which goes back to what we're talking about. Go play, you know, go, if it's fiddle with a guitar, go fiddle with the guitar. You better make room for that, you know. And if it's, you know, combo, you better be doing that stuff, you know, because that's, you know, if you and if it's
Strange
paint,
kind
you
of
better
play, but
be
yeah.
it is not play. It is not play. It's pretty brutal.
It's gotten way easier. I'm
Huh?
probably in like the 40s. I've done it maybe 40 something times. I'm not really
Wow.
keeping count, but there's
Okay.
a lot of dots.
I'm not keeping count. 40.
40-ish, somewhere in there. It's more than 30. It's less than 50, I imagine. I don't know. But it's,
So
well, I started keeping, I was like trying to figure it out because my experience completely shifted with it. So I don't experience nausea anymore.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's weird.
How interesting.
I still
Uh,
purge.
yeah. Oh,
Anyways,
that's normal. Yeah.
no
But I
one
think
wants to hear us talk about combo.
no. But yeah, we're just kind of a little side tangent. I definitely agree with you that, you know, we need more adults in parenting. And I like what you said, parenting ourselves first. And, you know, I 100% agree with that because there's so many times where, you know, you just want to fuck off and do nothing. And then you're just like, all right, get back on here. Or parent yourself. Okay, fuck off for a little bit and then go back to what you needed to do, you know?
Yeah, that's part of the parenting is like, you want your kids to play. So you should want yourself to play. So that's part of parenting is giving yourself access to that, but also showing up with that, with your responsibility that you've chosen to assume.
Yeah. If I wasn't an adult in this relationship, Sarah would have left me a long time ago. Like
Yeah.
she needs me to be an adult, you know, but she also needs me to teach her to be a child at times. And so, because she is so full on adult that she is too good at being an adult. And I need her to be an adult because I'm too good at being a child. And so we have this beautiful marriage of the two. And, you know, music will be playing and then she'll be like writing something. I'll be like, I'll grab her out of the chair. And then sometimes I'll be like looking, doing something, putzing around. I'll see her walk in with like this like face. And I'm like, I should be working. Good point. You know, I'm like, I'm not doing what I need to be doing right now. Okay. Okay. Let's go do that thing, you know? So it's, you know, I got blessed with attracting the polarized opposite, but complementary of opposites of, you know, we think the same, but we do it differently, but we agree with each other, but then we don't agree with each other in the ways that we can't see from the other person's perspective. And so, but these are the things that I've been visualizing for like 10 years. Yeah, well, about 10 years since I met her. Before I met her, I've been like, this is what I want. This is not what I want. This is what I want. This is not what I want. This is what I want. And just holding that. And then when I always, you know, what's interesting? I always ask, I always pray for is the wisdom to see what's good that's right in front of me. Because sometimes the things that are so good are unattractive. And I'm not saying Sarah's unattractive. She's so attractive.
Shit.
She is.
I wish she was.
Yeah.
Oh, is she watching? Is she watching?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm
But what I'm saying is like some things like a job is unattractive or a
Yeah.
partner is unattractive because they have like they're too responsible. They don't know how to do this, or you know, they're too childish, or you know, it's like, well, maybe that's what I'm needing. I'm needing that to balance that. And so it's like there's so many things like stability is unattractive to a lot of people.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's
I
like,
lived
oh
in
my God.
Southern California for a while. A lot of people find that structure as
Yeah, it's like
not attractive.
Oh, you have a job, you have a schedule, you have a routine, you have a career, you love your family. It's like, you know what, I'm going to go try to work with this guy who has been trying to get off drugs for 20 years. And so this is a stable hope for me, because I need that to validate myself, to make sure that if I pull them out, then I'll feel worthy, because then they'll be worthy and I can match my worthiness on what I created, instead of just jumping in because I can't match my worthiness to this stable human being. And so that's what, in my head, I'm like, that's what I need to work for, so that I can keep this stable human being who's amazing as a partner, as a mirror in my life. And that's what's my value,
So I think people need to go reflect on what you just said. I think we like scratching their heads like, why am I doing what I'm doing? This is what I want. People are going to listen to this show, and that's going to be, they'll be scratching their heads at least a week, maybe two. I advise anyone who's been listening, you're going to have to listen again, get your notepad out, of course, and do all that. Aleks, it's time to go. Unfortunately, we could talk all day. I know we could. And
we have.
We have talked. We've actually done that a couple times, maybe two, three times, hung out for entire days and just, so we'll do this again. I'm doing these more often, and I'm getting, you're one of the regulars. There are certain people who we need to be hearing from more often. You're one of these people. So folks, don't freak out. He'll be back. And Aleks, where can people find you?
Our website, primalfusionhealth.com, our Instagram, primal_fusion. And then you can find Sarah and I based on that off there. And then our Facebook is facebook.com/primalfusionhealth. Yeah, I think it's that.
You're so good at this. Look, guys, he's a much better coach than knowing how to tell you what website to find him at.
And on Facebook, I can just plug it in, so that way they can just find me.
There you go. Actually, totally screwed up the name on Facebook. I'm gonna, since we get off, I'll have to go back and rename it. So hop in there. Yeah, drop those links in there. That'll be the best.
Yeah, and we have a bunch of cool stuff coming out. So online coaching and courses Sarah and I are releasing via Archetypes, and after this COVID thing, going back to business as usual.
Dope. Next time we'll talk about archetypes. I think that'll be enlightening for a lot of people, and for me too. So chat about it. All right, brother. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you.